Alrighty. Y'all good? Curt, you got music cued?
I do.
John, edit here. Hello and welcome to Techlandia. How are you doing today? John Samuelson, in Beaverton, Oregon. My neighbor over to the east.
Alison.
Well, I guess everybody's over to the east, really. But my close neighbor to the east is
Alison Anderson, also known as Ted Rosisi.
So known as Ted Rosecki. Over in La Crosse, Wisconsin, where I would hate to say this, but Bob Samuelson has named our next host a coward for not going to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and seeing the great museum that they have there. And he's just shocked. I don't know what the museum's called, and I don't know what he wants you to see, but...
Is it the Children's Museum?
No, it's not the Children's Museum.
It's the Science Museum?
No,
I used to work there too.
The Museum of Modern Art is pretty fantastic over there, isn't it?
Okay.
Yes, it is.
But the only person that lives in Wisconsin and hasn't been into Milwaukee, we have Principal.
Hey, that's me. I am Curt Reese, and I drove in the general direction of Milwaukee this past weekend. I went to Madison.
Yay, Madison!
That's like 3 hours, isn't it?
No, Madison's like 2 hours away.
An hour and a half. Okay.
Yeah.
2.5 hours closer than where I am right now.
Okay.
That's right. So there we go. Someday. Curt, are you going to go to Milwaukee in 2015?
Yes, it'll happen.
Okay, it's going to happen pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we would like to thank our special guest, all the way over in the Eastern Time Zone, a guest that has eluded us for so long, but we've been trying to get him on forever, so much so that we had to even resort to having Carl Lindgren-Stryker on. We didn't really want that guy on there. But our own very good friend and Ed Camp Home co-founder, whatever you want to call it, we have the lovely and talented...
that would be me, I guess, Shawn White, at SWPAX. That's Pax for my late dog, Pax.
There you go. Shawn, tell us what you do.
Let me say something about Shawn's Twitter handle. So my friend Jessica Johnson, Principal J, she says, "Oh, that's cool. You're going to have Southwest Pax on your show."
That's what I call him too.
Yeah.
In my head, all the time.
That's great.
SW stands for Shawn White, right?
Yes.
Southwest Pax.
That's funny.
In your job, funny. Shawn, what do you do? What do you do in your job?
Well, in my job, I could overplay it in my job. I am a high school special education teacher. Case manage about 20 students in their IEPs and plans and accommodations and consultations. And then also, unlike a lot of high schools, in my school we actually have like a teaching schedule. So I have a section of small group English that I do, intervention English, and a couple sections of that. I also teach an outdoor education elective that I started there when I first started there. Where I'm at now, this is my 12th year, so started that 11 years ago. So I do that for juniors and seniors, all students, not just special ed. And then I facilitate a support small group study hall where we focus on executive function skills and tutorial support, stuff like that. So
I think Shawn might be. Is he the first special ed teacher we've had on? I know other people have worked with special education students, but Shawn might be the first one who's currently doing it.
Oh yeah.
We need to remedy that situation then.
Yes, indeed.
Because I'm actually going in for my son's IEP tomorrow, where I will be introduced to the team to see if they're getting to know him and all his little quirkiness. They found out the other day once he went to sleep right there, and they were like, "Your son needs to get enough sleep." And I said, "Yeah, trust me, I know. It's just, can you get him to sleep some nights?" No, you can't. So anyway, well, that'll be interesting. Shawn is going to give us some of the cool things. Oh my gosh, he has so many topics that he wants to share. It's just insane.
I put some of those in. Okay, so Shawn and I have been Twitter buddies for a long time, done a few hangouts together. So he is a fascinating dude, and I'm thrilled that he is here on this particular episode. So some of those, John, I put in there because I want to make sure he talks about it. Because Shawn loves to talk. He loves all this attention on the interwebs.
That's right.
No, he's not. Actually, for those of you who don't know Shawn real well, he's a pretty laid-back guy, and so we're going to force him. We're going to go Barbara Walters, Oprah, and we're going to pull these nuts out of him.
That's right. You'll be in tears at some point in the show, probably just because it's so long. But also, just because we want to take you and we want to stretch you, Shawn, out of your comfort zone a little bit. That's how you learn. So go ahead, and we're going to go old school Techlandia. Curt Rees calls it. Give us your 3 apps, Shawn White, for the show right now.
All right. So just to piggyback on what you're just saying, maybe I should just treat this like Voxer, right? 8 minutes,
Yes.
9 minutes.
Give us.
That's right.
Give
You
us
have
a 9-minute box.
I scored a 15-minute Vox one day, and I thought I had 18 minutes, and then found out, and I learned from that one that Vox cuts off at 15. So.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, here's the thing about Shawn, though. I would listen to a 15-minute Shawn White Vox. Everyone else, once you get to 3, it's over. Never mind. I don't care. If you're the Pope, Dalai Lama, no, I'm not going to listen. Shawn, I'll do it.
Sean's even higher than the Pope.
Curt,
Too much credit. Thank you, Curt.
Curt, I'm going to give you a hypothetical. What if 8 Amber 8 did a 3-minute, 12-second Voxer? Would you listen to that?
I probably would. Okay.
Yeah, see, there we go. There's
Right.
the
Happy anniversary to Amber Team, and it's her 10th anniversary.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Happy anniversary, Amber.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Shawn.
3 apps.
All right, so 3 apps. All right, so 1 app. So thinking about 3 apps, I struggle with favorites just to begin with. But so I looked at my phone, I went through, I was like, what are 3 apps that maybe some people might not already? I also feel like people already know so much about so many different apps, and sometimes I just wonder what can I offer to that. But anyways, so my first app is the Poetry Foundation app. The Poetry Foundation is a great organization that promotes poetry and has a lot of poetry up online for free to read. And anyways, they have an app that's pretty cool. And I imagine it's available for Android. I'm not positive. Maybe I should have done my research. But when you open the app, you can do what's called the spin, and it'll spin and randomize 2 categories together. So an emotional category, and then like some other topic like nature or I don't know, automotive or something. And then it'll give you a whole list of poems that line up in those 2 categories together. So it's fun to just kind of sometimes open that up and randomly come upon something. It's a nice resource to just open up and read poetry on. So, yeah, the Poetry Foundation app.
The Poetry Foundation app has been verified in the Google Play Store.
There you go. Thank you.
There you go.
John.
You're welcome. I will do research for you as well. It's all about, we want you to feel comfortable, Shawn.
All right.
All right.
So the next one you might have to research too for Android. It's called Figure by Propellerhead. And Figure I stumbled upon one day. I don't know how to describe it except that it's a music creation app. I would say that. But it's kind of neat. What it does, it allows you to choose to create looping tracks, right, of different synthesized sounds. So I don't know, maybe if I can can that be seen there? So I just opened it up. It's right there. And what you can do, maybe I can get this loud enough too, is you can, so I can, like right now I got Sunny as like the 4 instrument setup for kicks, snare, clap, hats, and toms. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
So I can start that, and that's the last one that I recorded actually, just messing around. And what you can do is you can set up automated, so the kicks is just going automatically, and then I was tapping the hats, the snare clap, and the toms. And then you record it, and then you can play a loop of it, and then you can play over that loop if you want, and you can switch to bass, you can switch to lead. I still haven't explored I gotta stop this now.
You can sing over too. Na 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 na. Hey.
Yeah, exactly.
Na 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 na.
So it's a great thing, I think, too, for kids that are, kids that are into music and want to be able to mix some stuff of their own, and some exploration on that, and you can start to just do some simple things and then build on there. Like I said, I still haven't even reached the reaches of this app. There's a lot of depth to it. There's a lot of options. There are a lot of options. So Yeah, it's a pretty neat app to play around with.
That looks like a Curt Rees app if I've ever seen
Yeah,
one.
I like that. I'll have to check it out, especially for my daughter, Harper. She's 8, and just loves GarageBand. She loves, I think it's Loopy, and yeah,
Yeah.
she loves to mix music.
Yeah, I bet this is similar to Loopy. It's a similar idea to GarageBand, but just a different setup, though. Yeah. Yeah, right on. And then
So
the last
there's-
one is one. Oh,
Sorry.
go ahead.
It's called Figure.
It's called Figure.
Draw figures to make the. I'm just looking at the tutorial. Draw figures to make music. Oh, look. You can use your fingers to.
Yeah. So, you want it right now too?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Very cool.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. There's a lot of, like I said, I still don't even know the extent of what you can do on it, but the times I've played around on it, I got into it for a while. And then the last one is, I guess what I would share is Duolingo, which maybe a lot of people already know about. And that's a language learning app. Sometimes I'm skeptical when I see these tutorial type apps, and maybe other people are too, in terms of what the interface is and how is it actually teaching the skill and walking through the without human interaction to teach something. But I really like the Duolingo app in terms of a language app. Not that I've experienced a lot of them, but I've gone through and reviewed some of my high school French and thinking I'd make Madame Carter proud right now. Refreshing 20 years later. So and my son actually picked it up on his Android tablet and was starting to go through the Spanish ones, and he's really enjoying that. And his elementary school doesn't have any world languages to offer, so I figure, all right, here's a nice option to sort of introduce him and give him some survey background of it. So,
yeah. So Shawn, you're in the state of New Hampshire. So is French, is that like the second language up there?
in some parts, yeah. In some parts, there's a lot of Canadian French influence background, particularly like Manchester, New Hampshire, because of the old textile mill industries down there. So. Yeah, I mean, I think the further you go north. It's funny. We were up at every summer we do a week camp, and I was actually voxing with you guys on my way up there, up to Pittsburgh, New Hampshire, which is literally 10 minutes from the Canadian border, up to a state park up there. And up there, most of the radio stations I was able to get were French radio stations. So that was interesting.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, oui.
Out of Canada, basically,
Très bien.
We like Canadians at Techlandia. We're all for Canadians.
Absolutely. Like
Yeah,
David
I like
Terrio.
Canadians.
David Terrio is from California, but his parents are Acadian.
He's an honorary Canadian.
He is an honorary Canadian, absolutely. All right, Shawn. So
Victoria Olsen is too.
Who?
Miss Victoria Olsen. We joke that
Victoria.
she's actually American now. She's in
Honorary.
America so much that she's not even Canadian anymore.
Michelle Cordy, Canadian.
Michelle Cordy, Canadian.
Dean Sharesky,
Dean Sharesky, Canadian.
George Curls.
Canadian.
Yeah.
Mathlete Pierce, Canadian.
Very cool. All right, Shawn. So you mentioned the Poetry Foundation app, and I was doing a little research on the New Hampshire, and so you talk about like a strong literary artist. I guess would be the best way to think about that. So Willa Cather, E.E. Cummings, Tommy DePaulo, Jodi Picoult, Robert Frost. Is that true too? Yeah.
A good part of his life he had spent. I actually grew up about one of the areas I grew up in was about a half mile from the Robert Frost farm in Derry, New Hampshire, just down the road from a farm that he had down there.
Yeah, and I know Bill Bryson is from Iowa, but he spent a lot of his life in, not a lot, a decade or so, in New Hampshire, and his book, A Walk in the Woods, that's one of my favorite ones at all. So, Shawn, I know you're quite the writer. Just like a Shawn White Vox might be 8 minutes. A Shawn White blog post, I don't know, 1,000 words, something like that, but it's fantastic stuff. So you are a writer, you're a poet too. You did a YouTube video on something you wrote called His Hat, It Hangs. Do I have the title right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was excellent. So I mean, what is it that got you into writing, into poetry, and what does it mean to you?
In terms of what got me into it, it's hard to say. I, uh, I remember in college sort of starting to connect to um, writing as expression, writing as catharsis.
Hmm.
Um, Started. I think I was moved one time. There was an open mic happening in the college union building, and I sat down to check it out as I was walking through one evening, and some folks were getting up on stage and sharing their poetry, and I was so moved by some of theirs, and some of them were very talented spoken word poets. So their performance of their poetry was incredible, and it really moved me. And then I thought, gosh, I feel like that too, and I've thought that too, and maybe I could somehow put my words into that kind of expression. Um, so yeah, so then I started to go to some more of the open mics. There was a group at my college from the state, the Poets and Writers. I never really was like formally part of them, but I'd go to a lot of the open mics and start to share there. And um, had a great T-shirt with Walt Whitman on it that I had for the longest time until it got so threadbare that my wife and mother-in-law, one time when she was visiting, they were doing laundry, and my mother-in-law was like, "Just throw that thing away." And, I had the thing forever. It's one of those cotton T-shirts that you just absolutely love to wear because it's almost like you don't even feel like there's a T-shirt on. And so I still miss that thing. I'm just a little bitter, but I'm getting over it. It's a joke.
And you're not like the typical person you might imagine at an open mic night. I mean, you're not 5'7", 160 pounds, wearing a beret. For those folks who don't know Shawn,
6'3", 270.
6'3",
Yeah.
260. He's a big dude. I mean, when bears see him coming through the woods, they turn the other way. That's Shawn White right there.
Well, what's funny is I was bluff charged by a bear in Alaska. Summer I worked in Alaska. Did I ever share that with you guys?
No.
I didn't. No.
You have to wrestle him
Probably
down.
tell that now, shouldn't I? Okay, so I'll try to be real quick. So I worked this summer in Alaska at Brooks Lodge, Brooks River, Brooks Falls. If you look it up in Katmai National Park, you'll see it's a major destination for brown bear viewing, like a world, particularly Germany. For some reason, at least the summer I worked there, like 13, gosh, must have been 13, 14 years ago. It was a major destination they must have really been pushing in Germany, tourist agencies. We had a lot of Germans come through.
Go see the bears.
Yeah, yeah. What would I learned just a couple phrases to help direct them to because my main job there was I was quote unquote laborer, and I wore a pair of hip boots, wading boots, and because you can only get in there by float plane or by boat to where we were. There were no road access into the park. It's all true wilderness. And so my job, I had the hip waders, and my primary job was when float planes came in, I had to get in the water, turn the plane around, and pull the floats up onto the beach, unload the people, unload their bags, get the next flight coordinated out, get those people and their bags on the flight. And then in between all that, like I'd do the trash, clean the lodge, clean the bathroom, stuff like that. So. Anyways, one day on my day off, and the brown bears there. It's not. I don't want you to get this picture of like these, really aggressive, burly grizzly bears. I mean, they were brown/grizzly bears, but the Pacific salmon run there was so plentiful that they ate so heavily on that and berries. There was so much vegetation that they were pretty docile bears. And so like 14,000 people a summer come through this little camp and stand on these decks that are built over certain areas to watch the brown bears do their thing, including grab salmon as they jump the 3-foot Brooks Falls. So one day I was walking out towards the end of the summer. I didn't have a camera. I was so opposite of any technology then. Not that I was opposed to it. I just just didn't have it. It was before cell phones. It was before all that. And so I had bought a couple of throwaway cameras from the camp store towards the end of the summer when they were half price because they were trying to liquidate. And I was like, gosh, I got to get some pictures of this place, like how people even begin to understand what the summer was like. Words can't even. So I'm going for a walk through the woods, and I'm purposely trying to get away from the people and just try to get like more natural shots of the bears out on the river and in the woods, and I'm walking along, And I had stumbled across some bears pretty close. Like one morning I stepped out of the bathhouse, which was, it was like 4 feet up. It was up on a deck because of bears walking by. I stepped out and there was a sow with 3 cubs walking right in front of me. So I just sort of stepped back inside. She kept walking. There were a lot of close encounters with bears, and it's okay, as long as you respect them. Anyways, I come to this patch of high grass, about chest-high grass along the river. It opens up, and I think, oh, there might be a bear in there. And the thing you don't want to do is startle them. So I give a clap, and I'm like, hey, bear. And I'm just about to turn and walk back into the woods, and this bear's head picks up out of the grass and looks over at me. So I'm just start to step back into the woods, but I wanted to get a picture. And so I took the little thing and I went, right? So no sooner than I do that, a split second later, boom, 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 she's coming through the tall grass right at me. They teach you, so if they teach you that, they will bluff charge. They'll bluff and charge right at you as a bluff to almost like a standoff, right? But they won't attack because they don't want to fight either. But when they do that, you got to stand your ground, you got to look big, you don't make eye contact, and you don't run because it triggers the predatory instinct. So she's charging at me, and it's the only time in my life that I've ever experienced my life flashing before my eyes, and it really does happen. Like the split second that it happened slows down, and you process so much thought and emotion of like, gosh, I wish I had said this to my mother, blah, 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 right, all these things that and then at the same time like an acknowledgement that this could be it, So my adrenaline's jacked right now just reliving it.
I bet.
So she charges at me. She stops right in front of me. Boom! Her front paw's right on the ground in front of me. I have shorts on, and she starts clicking her jaw, and her hair standing up on the back of her neck. And she doesn't stand up fully, but she's coming on her hind legs so that her head's almost like up at like my chest level, and then she's pounding back down in front of me. Right in front of me. I could reach out and put my hand on her, but the whole time I'm like this, and I'm doing everything right except I can't talk calmly. I'm just like, it's okay, bear, 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 it's okay, bear. Just the whole time, probably 3, 4, 5 seconds, but it seemed like forever. My legs had bear spit all over them. She finally stops. She settles for like a split second more, and then she turns around and she scoots back into the grass. And then I look up and I see 2 little cubs' heads sticking their heads out. And so then I really felt bad because the sows, it's really stressful for them. They are constantly trying to protect their cubs. Other male bears will eat their cubs. Like it's so stressful for them. So I felt terrible about it. But I was also thankful that everything was okay and she left me alone. And then I sort of backed away and I caught one more shot of the bear sticking their head out. And you can see her rump in the grass. So, anyways, I told this story later on to someone, and they were like, you probably triggered her to charge at you because of the flash on the camera. And I was like, you know what, I think you're right. I probably did do that. I should have been more mindful of that.
See, if technology had been there, she wouldn't have charged because you would have just used your iPhone.
That's right,
or
no flash.
Or your Android phone.
Exactly.
I think that one, that's like a little kid's storybook there. Brown bear, what do you see? I see Shawn White taking a picture of me.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Well, do you know I lived in Alaska for 4 years, right, Shawn? Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where I lived before Texas. So that's why I came back up to the Pacific Northwest. That and the lovely and talented Alison Anderson. Shawn, can you tell me something real quick? As long as we're talking about writing, will you give a little bit of people? I really think that one of the best sites out there for people to experience other people's writing and blogs is Medium.com, and I know that you're one of the big people, and you were on Medium very early. And can you just give a little bit of the background of Medium and what you did and why you think people should go there? I think it's great. I get their email every day, and every day there's something really interesting. And it doesn't always have to, it doesn't always revolve around technology or school or learning. It's just really cool stuff, I think.
Yeah. I don't I don't know if it's accurate to say I'm one of the big people at Medium, because I'm certainly not.
But you're like one of the you're educate. You were one of the first people to start it like an education group, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
on there
So
very early.
yeah, so I was. I had caught somehow I caught wind of Medium on Twitter before it was even anything. And when you went to it, it was just this homepage that said, I think it was like give us your, or no, it was you could sign up with your Twitter account, and you could read like two things by like Evan Williams and someone else that sort of gave this hint of something that this thing was going to be, right? And so it fascinated me, and then I researched a little more on the web and discovered that he wasn't so focused on Twitter anymore, and he was working on this other thing, and it was going to be something, and so yeah, so I sort of kept track of it, and then I hadn't thought about it for a little bit, and then I clued back into it again a couple months later, and I went back to the site, and now there were different posts there, and there was different things that you could read, and but it was still closed. It was it was whatever, it was invite only, or it was just
Or
their
whatever.
little beta group, and so I just thought, I don't know, I thought, what do I got to lose? So I tweeted Medium and just said, hey, I'd love a chance to try out, as a beta user. I'll give you feedback. I don't know what I said. I think I said I'd love to craft some powerful prose. That's what I said.
Oh, see, that got their attention.
Yeah, I was like, maybe if I'm bold, it'll get a reaction. So, and the next morning I got this email, you're invited to write on Medium. I thought, are you kidding me? No way. This is cool. So yeah, so I got in there, and then I, it was very early version. It was actually wasn't much different, but it was different than it is now. And yeah, I wrote a story, and they put it on. It got like an editor's pick then was much different than an editor's pick now. An editor's pick now is it's something that stands out. An editor's pick then, it was among a much larger, smaller pool. So it's kind of like making varsity at like the small little 500 student high school, or making varsity at the 4,000, 5,000 student high school, right? So it was much easier to make varsity then. Sports analogy. But yeah, and then I thought, gosh, they got all these collections, but there's so much writing on tech and web and development, and because those are the people that were friends and family, and I assume like the early invites to use it. So I started an education collection, and it just kind of, and then at one point they had featured collection pages. They had a featured collections page, and they put it on there, and I think it just kind of grew by default, of being the only one. And yeah, now it's it's something that I maintain, and it's cool because since they changed their collection options now, where you can only post the post in one collection, and you need to be an approved writer for that to do so. It's actually, at first I was like, oh man, because pretty much a lot of I realized like a lot of the posts that went into this thing were people who were writers about other things, but then they had these thoughts about education or schooling or something, and so they throw that in there, but they also had it in all these other collections. And so now I thought, gosh, I don't know if they're going to want to put them here now. So, but what's actually happened, which has been a nice evolution of their collection changes, are I actually have a lot more actual educators, which is what my original intent was, but there just weren't many educators writing in Medium or on Medium, right? And so now I'm, folks that I know through Twitter, and sometimes if I come across a post and I see it's not in the collection, I'll maybe throw in a note if it's something I'd like to add, and ask them if they're interested in adding it. And yeah, so, but I agree, it's a neat platform. I love the text editor. It's a really nice way to write digitally, as you truly see exactly what you're writing. It's very clean and distraction-free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
It's good, right? And you can make little comments on the side, just like you could on a Google Doc or whatever, and you can, it's a good way, and you can post there. I mean, all you have to do is sign up, and it's definitely worth checking out. You should definitely go to medium.com, and Shawn is the proprietor of the education collection. So it's a really nice, I like that site. So I don't know what Alison Anderson is doing, but it looked awful dark in your room right there. What happened there for a second? It looked like the power went out, but now you're kind of glowing a little bit more. Are you okay over there?
The
They have the
sun's
power
going
portal?
down. The sun must go down quicker over here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Because I mean, yeah, because you're a little further east. All right. So I think this is the big question. All right, Shawn, are you ready to give your speech or your talk that we have all of us here have talked about so many times? Maintaining balance. I have been tweeting so little lately. I have noticed it, and there's really, I mean, it's not intentional. It's just something that's kind of happening for me. But talk about how you kind of got immersed in technology, and then you said, whoa, 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 I think I might need to pull back and maintain a balance, because I think that's hard for a lot of us.
Okay.
And before you start talking, Shawn, I'll let you collect your thoughts, because I do admire that about you, because we've asked you to come on the show before, and you're like, you know what, it just isn't the right time, and it seems like you really do have a great balance with all the tech stuff, with nature, with your writing, with your family, and I admire that, and it's something that I'm working on too.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'll be honest and say, as much as it might appear I have it all together, I often don't. And I guess that's part of why I think about it so much, because I'm trying to keep it together. I guess to give just a quick overview, I don't know. I guess so. Real quick, growing up, like in middle school, my father went to college. He hadn't before, and he studied computer science. So we had a desktop computer in the house when a lot of kids didn't. It was I forget what it was. It wasn't early, but it was still relatively early, especially in maybe in rural New Hampshire perhaps. But so I played games on that and I'd be into that. But then I didn't have anything until much later on in college. A couple of years into college, I had one of those 4-bar line electronic word processors. That,
I've had this conversation. How is that at all better than a typewriter?
I don't know. Especially, I'll tell you what, one night for a final, I had a take-home final that was like 7 line answer questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going along, and I'm on page 4 maybe,
mm-hmm.
and I accidentally kicked the cord out of the wall. No autosave. I'm like, Are you kidding me? So I plug it in. I have to retype 4 pages. Now I'm on page 5 or so. What do I do again?
Oh, no.
I kicked it out of the wall again. So now I go and get a roll of duct tape, and I duct tape the plug to the wall, and I retape my 7 pages again to turn in at 8 o'clock the next morning. But anyways, yeah, right? It's
You could see like 2 lines at a time, and you'd type it all, and then you'd press print, and it would, like print 12 pages at once. I don't
Exactly.
understand. But it was awesome. I remember mine.
It was much better than, I mean, I guess what did I do? I don't know. And then I bought a laptop when I was like 25, 26. I bought a Sony Vaio for $1,500 online.
Ooh.
I'd gone to the library and got online, and by that point I couldn't believe, like, wow, this is the internet. Look at this. Oh my goodness, there's just all this stuff, And a couple months later, I was applying for jobs, like in Pennsylvania and other states, but sending my stuff by email. It was all so new, and I just was so into it because it fascinated me, and that fascination has carried on ever since. And then like 4 or 5 years ago, I started to think, gosh, I want to learn what it takes to like put up a website, because it was so foreign to me, and it was actually another teacher that's a good friend of mine. He's now a principal at a bigger high school in New Hampshire. He went to an HTML class and was teaching himself how to build his own class website, and I was like, oh wow, you can do that? Gosh, and to me it seems so intimidating to enter into that kind of learning and learn how to do that. But I started checking it out, and then I ended up on WordPress and checking that out, and and I actually I had a WordPress.com site that I was going to set up for something, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't like paste in this code or that code or something, and then I'd go to these other sites that I could tell they were on WordPress, and I'm trying to figure out, well, how come they can do that and I can't? And then I realized, wait a minute, that's like self-hosted WordPress, and so the whole idea of FTP and all that was brand new. So I basically at night after everyone was in bed, I just started like reading online and just hours and hours and hours and hours into like learning how to do website stuff, and at the same time, teachers' lives and families financially, like things weren't always measuring up. So I thought, oh, maybe this is a way for me to make some extra income at home, right? So I really buried into it, and but it was too much though. Even then, it was kind of like, gosh, I'm staying up too late. I'm on the computer too much, and so I sort of backed away for it for a while. I ended up getting a side gig with my school, a side contract to do our website and be the web presence guy. So it did work out to pay off for the time I put in, but yeah. Um, but then the whole connected educator experience has really been the thing that really challenges, I think, to
The
at least
connected
for me
educator.
personally.
Yep, that's the one. That's where it is right there. That's the buzzword, right?
Yeah. So I dove in because it definitely fulfilled a need that I had in terms of, that's the classic argument for being a connected educator, to transcend your own classroom walls and school walls and 2 or 3 times a year conference days to learning all the time online together, sharing, learning, reading, and so I dove into it and I was so into it, and I still am, but in different ways now, and just like couldn't get enough of chats, couldn't get enough of this every night. I mean, I was on my phone constantly, and literally I realized last year that after a couple of years of doing that, and at times like breaking away, but then like being drawn back in, almost like a drug in a way, um, I realized like, gosh, I'm addicted to this, and it's not good. It's not healthy the way I'm doing this, and that was my experience of it. I don't think everyone does that, but for various reasons, that's what it had become for me, and I needed to back away from it and reassess, who I was, why I was doing what I was, and not just on there, but just, you know, my kids are right here, and I'm taking out my phone, and
Mm-hmm.
what am I showing them? And I was setting a bad example. I was not being the father and the husband and the just even person that I know I am. So I finally realized and accepted that. And so I've really pulled away, and I'm approaching it much differently, and I'm still figuring it out. I think it's an ongoing process, but
Yeah. So,
so
I mean, I know you're a lover of the outdoors. So, like, when you feel like you've been way too digitally connected, what do you do? I mean, where do you go? What recenters you?
well, I think one is just putting the stuff down, turning the screens off, and getting outside with my kids. I mean, it could be as simple as just being out in the front yard playing catch, playing catch with the dog, throwing fetch. Um, we do we're pretty active, especially in the summertime. It's really nice. We being my wife is a teacher as well, so being off together with the kids. We do a lot of bike rides. We do a lot of swimming. Um, uh, go for hikes, backpacking, camping trips. So
Trout fishing. You getting that figured
trout
out?
fishing, yes, not as much as I was hoping for this summer, but
Yeah.
but yeah, into it, and finally got out fly fishing after wanting to ever since I saw A River Runs Through It
Yeah.
Of
in
course.
college, right? It's
Yeah.
so
That's
cliche,
that's an
but it's
excellent
so
movie,
true.
an excellent novel. Yeah. Right, so here's I actually interviewed for a job teaching at just like a part-time graduate faculty position, and the favorite interview question I ever heard was they asked me, describe your perfect Saturday, and I just thought, once I heard that question, I'm like, I want this job, I want to do this. So Shawn, that's what I'll ask you. What's your perfect Saturday? What are you doing and who are you with?
Perfect Saturday. So my perfect Saturday, I am with my wife and my children, um, and I think what I'm doing is we don't necessarily have a plan, unless if it's to go someplace and get out for a hike or in the woods or something. Um, but we're not waking up with a schedule. We're not waking up to an alarm clock, and we're waking up, we're chilling out, we're eating breakfast when we feel like it. We're sitting out on the back deck as the sun starts to go higher. Um, and then it's kind of like, well, do you want to go for a bike ride? Do you want to go for a swim? Do you want to go? Should we drive somewhere and go for a hike? Want to just go for a walk in the woods across the street, and just do that without any purpose or mission except for to do it, and to not feel and to not have anything to have to come back to at any time either. You know, so I guess for me, it's a break away from routine, and to just sort of an opening up of the freedom of possibility for spontaneous togetherness and outdoor activity mostly. You know, reading, like sometimes for us it's an afternoon, everyone's reading. You know, if I'm not on my phone, you know, then that's when I was put the phone down and finish a book for once. So.
Hey, I
in
want
terms
to
of-
I want to
Go ahead.
interject here real quick. Can I interject? I had
Yeah.
I had a perfect kind of Saturday thing happen to me the other day, and it was totally random, just kind of like you said. But so my birthday was last Thursday, and so I came and I dropped the kids off, and then I realized I came back to the house and I realized, whoa, I'm by myself for like the first time in a long time. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a whole bunch of stuff done. I'm gonna write these blog posts. I'm gonna get all this stuff done. I'm gonna mix the 3 Techlandias that I haven't uploaded yet. And I went to my Facebook page, so Curt will like this story. I went to my Facebook page real quick, and you know how there's like 50 people that wish you happy birthday or whatever, and Alana Leone, who I've never met, said, "Happy birthday, iPad Sammy, don't try and save education today," or something, you know, something silly like that. And I looked at it and I was kind of like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to write blog posts today. So I looked at my email, and Alison was the first person that took me to the Adidas. What is it? The Adidas employee store, and you have to have a little invite for it. And I just got one emailed to me. So I was like, you know what? I'm driving across town and learning where the Adidas store is. Bought some shoes, bought some stuff for the family at half price. Went to one of those man versus food, like big hamburger places. I couldn't even eat half of it. But so I came home, I took a nap, and then I watched, and then it was the opening night of football, and then I watched the Packers get stomped, and I thought, gosh, this was one of the greatest birthdays ever. And I was totally gonna start working, and I looked at that one Facebook post. So there we go. That's the one time you'll hear me say something good about Facebook, Curt. I was like, I would not have probably done that if I hadn't have read that Facebook post. And I thought, that's kind of a nice day right there, you know. And my wife was working at her new job, and she didn't get home until like 9 o'clock. So it was just the kids and I watching Monday Night Football. And yeah, boy, the Packers. Whew, that was great. My favorite team is the team that is playing the Green Bay Packers that one week. That's my favorite team besides the Bears. There we go. So I just wanted
Buffalo's
to say
looking pretty good, though. Aren't they?
yeah. Meanwhile, it doesn't matter because the Bears stink anyway. So, but yeah.
The Bears
so,
still suck.
it was good though. It's like you were saying though, Sean. It's like no plans. I didn't have any expectations. I was like, oh, okay, I'll go get some work done. I should go do something. I thought, you know what? No, and it worked out really. It was great. So I have to say, happy birthday to me. I know how to throw myself. I didn't even have cake or anything.
Yeah.
I know how to throw myself a birthday party. Just eat a lot, sleep a lot, and watch football. There we go. I'm a man
Watch
of
the
simple
Packers
needs.
get killed.
Watch the Packers get killed. It would have been good. Even if the Packers had won, it would have been good. So yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry to. I just wanted to share that because it
Well,
was a
you know
cool
what?
birthday.
I want to hear the
Yeah.
same thing from Alison. Alison Anderson, your perfect Saturday. What is it?
Man, that's a hard one. I don't know. It used to be harder to turn off the phone. Now I feel like if I can turn off my phone and my digital devices, that's like the best day ever. And it's even if I shouldn't do it, a lot of times I do it. So, and finishing a book for real. Did that a couple times this summer. So a Saturday, just like Sean said, where you don't have to get up and go to soccer, go to whatever every kid has to get dropped off at, and pick them up and sit in the backyard, make something good for dinner. That's about it.
Well, you know, when you spend time with your family, though, like if you're with your spouse and your kids, it's easy to turn the phone off because like who else is going to call?
That's true.
Well, the ringing part of it, yeah, the phone part, but it's the checking Twitter, checking your email.
Yeah.
I think
Allison's like that
overloaded.
that darn John Samuelson is gonna text me.
Not that so much. But
I know what Curt. I know what Curt
immersed
Reese's.
too much.
I know what Curt Reese's favorite Saturday thing to do is because he does it every Saturday and he posts about it on Facebook. Like, what did you do last Saturday, Curt?
Oh,
Went to
last Saturday?
Yeah.
No, last Saturday was a little different. I had class in the morning, so a little
Oh.
PhD work. Yeah. No, my ideal Saturday is to get
before
up
that.
before anybody else. I don't even remember what it was. My ideal Saturday is to get up before anyone else, make a pot of coffee, read the paper, and then just like Shawn said, not have a plan, just be open to anything. And then at some point we get through the fun stuff of the day, make supper, listen to Prairie Home Companion, a nice beer, a glass of wine. That's a good Saturday.
Love Garrison Keeler.
Oh my goodness! Do you know I went to, as Allison likes to call it, I went to Freddie Meyer, and they have. I took a picture of it, Curt. I gotta vox it to you. So it's an actual growler filling station where they have just different things on there, and you can just tap the button and
Really?
pull over a growler and fill it up. I had never seen that. I'd been to that Fred Meyer so many times, I hadn't seen that. I thought, what a great idea! That's pretty awesome. They
Is
even
that
have
the one by your house?
yeah, the one by my house, and they even have like some of them. They even have like pomegranate lemonade, so you could even get some for the kids if you wanted to. Be like, hey kids, here we go, some pomegranate lemonade. But then they had just all sorts of different microbrews that you could just punch in, and they change them around, obviously, because the board's a video screen. I thought
So
That's
that way
right.
you can reuse your growlers, so it's
I'm
Oh,
pretty sure
yeah.
you can.
more
Yeah.
friendly, right? Kind of thing.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you've got
We
to.
don't
Curt.
like to throw things away here.
Yeah,
Ever.
that's good. Wish we had
Before
more
we
of
get
that.
too deep, do you want to give me your 3 Twitter users? I forgot we hadn't given the 3 Twitter users. You want to give me 3 Twitter users?
Spider just dropped down. Can you see that spider? Yeah, you can. Look it. Spider just dropped down right in between us.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
See it right in front of my hand where my hand is?
Yes, my daughter would be screaming right now.
No.
She saw Daddy Longlegs, and she's never been the same.
Well, Shawn White said, okay, so who
Daddy
wrote
Longlegs.
Charlotte's Web?
E.B.
kidding.
White.
E.B. White.
Shawn White.
Shawn's uncle.
Yeah. For a while, I carried around the Strunken White's style guide. Which
Yeah, that's really cool. That style guide. That's actually E.B. White.
That is E.B. White. Yeah. No, he's and you know what's cool. You know that the Letters of Note. Have you seen that Twitter account or the website Letters of Note?
No, I've not seen that.
No.
Well, this is another great shout out then. Letters of Note. It's a guy, I think he's from England, and he started this site where basically he publishes letters that he finds, letters from famous people, letters from past, political people, writers, artists, whoever, right? And so there's really a lot of fascinating letters that are on there. And there was one that he published from E.B. White, which was a response to a librarian. And the librarian, I think, had written him to chastise him for not writing back to a child who had written to him, right? And I don't want to do it any injustice. This is a while ago that I read this, but basically his response, was very polite and kind, but it basically put out to her like, look, do you see my dilemma? I want to give all of these letters the attention they deserve, but I now get like 20, 30,000 of them at a time. And for me to do that, I'm not writing anymore. He's like, I spend half my day responding to mail now, and now I'm not writing. And so if you want me to write the magic that these kids connect to, understand that I can't reply all the time. And it's almost a disservice to writers to write these letters to them if they want to be sincere and connect with them, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just, I don't know, I'm not doing it justice. He does it justice, but...
Yeah, I'm not I am following now, but that looks like a cool account. And
yeah,
one of the most fascinating and interesting books I ever read was the annotated Charlotte's Web. So if you like the book, you like the story, go find the annotated Charlotte's Web. It's just a really, it's a great read. All about the story of Charlotte's Web and everything that E.B. White and his family were going through as he wrote it, and after that, it's incredible.
Oh yeah, I'd be interested in that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So what were we?
You're gonna give your Twitter. You already gave us one. Letters of Note, but go ahead.
Letters of Note, and then who else do you have?
Well, there you go. There's one. All right. So first one, I guess. Again, I struggle with these. I never do Fall Fridays because I struggle to point out some and not others. I don't know. It's just always this like inclusive. I don't know. And there's nothing wrong with people that do it, and I don't judge that it's done. I just for myself, I struggle to say, oh yeah, follow these people, but not these 500, 600, 700 other people, I don't know. Anyways, maybe I think too much about it. I think I do. But anyways, so with this, first person that came to mind is Corey Sass. and her Twitter handle is CORISAAS, and that's her name, how her name is spelled as well, Corey Sass. So Corey is an educator in Canada. She is an alternative educator who really understands in a way that I'm only just beginning, and that she's taught me a lot about, but really understands kids' lives and the messiness of kids' lives and their stories, and how their stories and their backgrounds are everything, and how that impacts who they are, and how our school spaces often, unfortunately, too often, don't honor them, so to speak. So don't take into account that, we have kids with suicide stories, with abuse stories, with neglect stories, with, a parent in jail story. It's like, the list can go on, and we all know this, but, and I think, I don't know, speaking as a high school educator, I think I see this more in high school, where it's not always honored, and it's not always, those backgrounds that these kids are coming from are not always given the consideration that it should be given.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about, excusing expectations academically, but having the proper understandings and services, and not even services, but just having it embedded throughout a school culture, that to honor that not all kids are coming from a, a happy, supportive, really positive background each day. And so she really lives that. And her writing, she hasn't blogged as much as she used to, but it was her blog that first turned me on to, her mindset about this, and really, really powerful. So even like if you were to go back into a blog and go back into old posts from 2-3 years ago, you really read some amazing stuff that makes you really tune into student stories. Yeah. So, and the whole idea of like narrative inquiry. So she's doing her master's is on this aspect, and using narrative qualitative inquiry to study her master's project, and the impact of student stories and narrative, and that has. So, anyways, the next one
sounds like a good one.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely, she's a good person. And she and I actually, at one point, we're going to start our own little podcasting project, but because of just over the course of like 6 weeks, we were able to connect twice to maybe put together like something. And that's when I started to realize, like, and even those times, it was a little bit stressful to make it happen and coordinate. And so I realized, I just can't do this. I just can't have a regular schedule like that to fit in. But the next one is Mr. Lebrun, at MRLEBRUN, Ross Lebrun. He's an English teacher from New Jersey, and he's also the head of his ELA department. Just a really good guy. I appreciate, I've really grown to appreciate connections with people that, I think everyone's good people, but I don't know, just, he and I just have a natural connection, and I appreciate knowing him through Twitter and interacting with him, and have learned some with him and from him. And then another person that popped in my head today is someone who I just connected with just a day or two ago. Her name is Dominique Dines, and it's at DOMINIQUEDYNES.
Mm-hmm.
I know her. She's the gymnast, right? Dominique Dawes.
No, different
Oh,
person.
that's right. Dominique Dawes, not Dines. Okay, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say I didn't know that about her. But, she is a teacher. I believe she's American, teaching in Mexico, and she started MexEd Chat, and she was in a tweet that was favorited by someone else, and that I was in, and then she tweeted back, and so I was like, who's this? And then so I like to learn more about people, and so I followed to her site, and when I got to her site, it appears that she attended GTA MTV, is that what it was called, the most recent Google Teacher Academy.
Mm-hmm.
But I checked on our site, she had a couple videos, and you could tell just from her 2 and 3 minute and 1 minute videos that she's doing some amazing things with kids, her students in Mexico, and also really reaching out and bringing a lot of professional development to other teachers in Mexico. So just right off the bat, like, struck me as like, yeah, this is someone that is inspiring, and who I'm glad to be able to connect with. So.
Yeah, as I look at her Twitter feed, some of the things she's tweeting about is the design thinking K-12 chat. And then she's got some connections with Moss Pike, so she's a great-minded person.
Yeah.
Moss Pike, who's that guy?
Yeah, no kidding. All right.
That's interesting. Okay.
Hey, I've got some good. We're going to ignore those other trivia questions there. I came up with some new ones for Shawn here, and you guys can play along too. All right, here we go. So it's all New Hampshire, New England related. First question. Earl Silas Tupper was a New Hampshireite chemist and inventor. His work resulted in what kitchen product?
Tupperware.
Tupperware.
Oh,
that is
Tupperware,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah,
No
Earl
kidding.
Silas
I didn't know that.
Tupper. Yes, it is. All right,
I have a feeling you're gonna.
It's the only one I've
I have
ever
a
got
feeling
right.
Kurt's about to school me on New Hampshire. No, I've been here for almost 40
That's
years.
his main goal.
All right, and this is kind of an old joke, Shawn, but name a current Red Sox player. Anyone? Do they have anybody left?
Not Jacoby
that one,
Ellsbury.
Yeah.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. You won yourself you won yourself a World Series last year, so that's pretty good. All right, now more serious question. Who is your favorite New England Patriot? Your favorite? Who do you like?
Honestly, I'm not that much of a follower of NFL, so I like to get involved in the
Yeah, but
play a
your
little
dog
fantasy
is named
football.
Brady. Is that not a?
I know that's
is
because
that
of my
a
son.
honor?
So here's the thing: I never fished.
It's not Tom Brady. Okay.
No, it was. It was after Tom Brady. I never fished, and my kids, for some reason, got hooked on the idea. Right? Catch that hook? Hooked on the idea of wanting to fish, and so I was like, I got to learn to fish. My kids want to fish. I need to be able to teach them to fish. So my son starts to get interested in football. I'm like, gosh, I got to start watching some football with him. You know what I mean? So it's yeah. It was funny because I played in high school and for 2 years in college, but I don't know. I was always turned off by pro sports for many reasons, and but I've come back to appreciate watching the game as something to do, and appreciating the sport itself, aside from all the BS that goes on business-wise with the NFL.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, don't even get me started right now.
So yeah, I've learned to, like, okay, keep it separate. Show my son on TV how the game is played by watching the game, and my daughter when she's interested in watching it. But anyway, so he wanted to name Brady after Tom Brady, so yes, he did. So I guess I'd say Tom Brady. I don't know. I guess that's cliche too, though. But
he is a good dude, though. I mean, he
is.
Yeah.
I think overall, at least from what I know.
He plays hard, and no drama with Tom Brady. So
Curt Reese is
You gotta
like
appreciate-
Tom Brady of principles.
You do have to appreciate the many last 2 minutes. What's that? Curry's and Tom Brady principles.
Yeah,
Right on.
okay, I think that's a compliment. I'll take it.
it is.
It's a total compliment.
Yeah.
Super Bowl MVP, model wife. Come on now.
Yeah. All right. So,
All right, keep going.
So here's another Patriot question, and Alison and John, you can play along too. Who has the most receiving touchdowns of any New England Patriot?
Gosh. Irving Fryer.
It
Of
is
all
not
time?
Irving. Yep, of all time.
Oh gosh.
With 67 touchdowns, Stanley Morgan. Not even close
that's
compared to anyone else.
That's
So,
what
yeah.
I was going to say.
Yeah, like the second leading touchdown catcher would be Ben Coates, and tied with Randy Moss too, who also has 50. So
Randy played like 2 years for him.
I think he did play actually 2 years.
Like 2 or 3 years. He had 50
All right.
touchdowns.
Solid.
John, you'll like this question.
Okay.
Who scored the points for the Patriots against the Bears in Super Bowl 20? They scored 10 points, so who scored them?
The kicker scored 3.
Yes, and the kicker was Tony Franklin, scored 4 points, an extra point.
I can't believe you don't.
Actually, I know. So Tony Franklin, he kicked a field goal, and Patriots were up 3-0, looking good.
Right. I
And then
remember that.
you already mentioned the other person who made the other points.
Oh, it was Irving Fryer?
Irving Fryer. Yep, Steve Grogan to Irving Fryer. They cut the lead to 44-10 at that point in the fourth quarter. And,
then the Bears safetied them.
Now I see why you plan these questions.
I know. I was going to say my favorite Patriot was Champagne Tony Eason because I just remember the Bears sacking him all over the place, and Steve Grogan had to come in.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play very much in the Super Bowl when I was looking at that. So, all right, John Elway has 3,407 career rushing yards. Where would that place him all time on the Patriots rushing list? Pick a number. What place would he be? No, not number one.
42.
He'd be sixth. Okay, so right after Kevin Falk, but before Don Calhoun. All right, another football trivia question.
Calhoun.
All right, Adam Vinatieri kicked the game-winning field goal against the Rams in Super Bowl 36. What college did Adam Vinatieri graduate from?
South Dakota.
South Dakota State. Yes. John.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Name a hot and very intelligent professor of health education who also graduated from South Dakota State.
Keely Reese.
Yes, you are correct. My wife also went to SDSU. Yeah. So
That's awesome.
No, Adam Vinatieri and I, we graduated the same year, and we went to different high schools in South Dakota. But he's an old dude. He's 41, like myself, but he's still playing, and I think he's a kicker on one of my fantasy teams. I can't remember which one.
Did that one win?
No, both my teams lost. So.
Oh, really?
All right, Sean, last question.
Okay.
Is it about football?
If it's
No, it's
football,
not. It's not.
It's like a foreign language to me.
Sean, are you a co-op?
No, I'm not a co-op.
That's in reference to.
I could do my actual. So
The
natural.
Departed.
No, I'm not a co-op. So then I could do like, no, I'm not a co-op. Co-op. No, I'm not a co-op. You go park your car over there.
Harvard God.
Harvard Yard.
And then Harvard.
All right. Okay, guys.
And that is from the movie The Departed. And speaking of departures, things are going to change. Okay, go ahead.
Let's see. Hold on. Maybe I've got some sound effects for you. Hold on. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see if I can sound effect for you.
Yes. Things are going to change here at Techlandia. So who knows what it's going to be like, but I know for myself that I'm stepping away from the Techlandia. Life is changing. All good stuff. I'm entering in my third year of coursework for my PhD. Working on a new building, so Techlandia is going to be different. But it's been a good ride. I've enjoyed it a lot.
Alison, favorite Techlandia? Yeah, do a favorite Techlandia moment before you go.
My favorite Techlandia moment?
Yeah, both of you have to do a favorite Techlandia moment, or you can do your least favorite, I guess.
Being the closing act for the first day of IPDX. That was the most. That was the highlight.
That was fun.
That was pretty cool. So, and it's been a lot of fun. I mean, we've been doing this, at least I have been with you guys for the past year and a half, even longer than that. But just interacted with a lot of cool people, and I think almost all these people I've met face to face. But just some cool folks that we've interacted with on Techlandia, at least that I have. Jeremy McDonald, good dude. Really enjoyed him. I met him before I met the two of you, and got to see him out in Portland. Tim Lauer was always fantastic. Darren Hudgens, who's the coordinator of the Integrate Ed conferences, we'll get to see him some more. But I think we've had him on 2 or 3 times. Dave Guyman, my third favorite Mormon in the world, as I like to call him. And certainly Craig Yen for being our hype man.
That's where I wish I had the Zippo lighter app.
Yeah. Well,
It took Boyz II Men a minute 20 to get to that chorus. Holy cow, Boyz II Men! No wonder.
It's a long time. Yeah. And okay, so I mean, this isn't goodbye to you guys, but this is goodbye, I guess, in this particular format. So, Alison, thank you for putting up with us loudmouth boys. You did the least talking. That's because John has a lot to say, and so do I. But doing the hangout.
It always turns into football.
And it always turns into football.
No.
Everything always does. But it's fun to watch you in Google Hangout, whether you're yelling at your children, your husband, your dog, whatever it happens to be. Just watching. You're doing it right now. I can see you doing it. So your facial expressions are always entertaining.
They like to walk around. You never know when they're going to show up.
I know. but you'll always don't ever move away from Portland because that's why I need to go there to see you.
Well, now John lives here too, you know.
Yeah, definitely don't move away from Portland, Alison. I just moved here.
All right, and John, I want to say to you, thanks for pulling all this together. I've greatly enjoyed being on Techlandia. Every Saturday night is when we typically had recorded it, and it was like I was having a date with two awesome people. So it's been an awesome year and a half. I'll still be connected with you guys. I hope to be back on a Techlandia someday. Who knows what it's going to look like? But I know I'm stepping away a little bit. And John, an ode to John. Do we have any music for John? You can hum, Alison. How about that? So John.
Just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
Apology.
Mr. Ted, Sammy, John, when I think about you, you're an incredibly creative and humorous person, and education needs both of those things. But at the same time, you're incredibly stubborn. It gets you in trouble. But I'm glad you are that way. You speak your mind no matter what. Where I'm someone who likes to avoid conflict or kind of smooth things over, but you speak your mind all the time, and I really admire that about you. And John, I know you care about education not only as an institution but as a career. You care about your fellow teachers, and you care about effective administrators. Not all the administrators in the world, but most of all, you care about students, and I think that's very evident with how you talk about how you work and your own kids. So your new employer, yay, John's got a job.
Yes, I do. I have a job now. I'm back in education.
They're very fortunate to have you. So, John, thanks for being an amazing educator, an ed techer, a social media maven. Thanks for being my friend.
Thanks, Curt. That was nice. I don't even know what to say. I didn't expect all that, but I know I'm sad and I was shocked, but at the same time, we will keep going. And there is an open standing invitation for any one of you guys to come on. Shawn, you're included in this, by the way. Open invitation for you guys to come on anytime you want. But I don't know what I'll do, but I guess I'll be, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I've got. I've got some stuff cooking. We'll see what I've got cooking. There's a lot fired up in this little brain. I'm working on something. Alison, do you have any last words?
Man.
It's time for dinner?
Just set that up. So thanks, Curt, for really taking time to think about it. My gosh, I appreciate everything you said and agree with everything you said about John for sure. All right, yeah, it's time for dinner.
It's time for dinner.
I
just want to thank you guys for doing this. It's been a great ride, and I feel like the Beatles are breaking up, but we can come back. We can reform at any time, right? We can reunite whenever we feel like it. So we've got that going.
At some point.
That's right. Shawn, thank you for being on the show. We appreciate it.
It was awesome to have you. Get you in there.
I'm glad to finally. I've wanted to all along. It's just timing was never right.
Yep.
That's right.
I appreciate it.
Worked out how it should, I think. This is a great way to wrap this group up.
Yep, we'll put a bow on it, and then we'll put a pin in it, and we'll save it for later. Nice. And we do want to say that if you are in San Francisco in early October, you can go and see the handsome and dashing Curt Rees at Integrate Ed San Francisco. Spots still available in his session, which is called, we'll plug it one last time, Curt, what are your sessions?
I have a session on school culture, which I'm really excited about. I've got a lot of stuff done, and then also on learning space design. Those will be the two sessions I'm doing.
If you're in the Northern California. Alison, are you going down to that?
I'm still not sure, but
okay.
If I am, I'm going to Curt.
Yeah, but come down for Saturday anyway, because I think we're going to talk Bill Selleck into going out for beverages. Same thing with Carl Lindgren Stryker, and who else is going to be there? Johnny's coming. Lisa Highfield. Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Curt, have you met Carl?
I have not face to face.
Okay, that's good. That'll be fun. Alrighty.
Thanks, everybody, and we will catch you on the flip side.